I'm David Carter, instructor for the Pre-Tech Building Trades class at the Center for Technology at Essex. In this episode, I'm going to look at the safety, setup, and operation of the table saw that we have in our shop. Being a good carpenter starts with safety. You need to know your tools and know your surroundings. And you can use the table saw to make more specialty cuts like dados and dovetails. But to make any of these cuts, you need to be thinking about safety the entire time. The first thing you want to be mindful of when using power tools is yourself and your personal safety equipment. The table saw is one of the most likely tools to grab loose clothing, so make sure you don't have on anything that could get caught. And also thinking about the little things like sweatshirt ties. I want all of my kids to either tie them up nice and tight, tuck them away, or better yet, just pull them off. When was the last time you actually used those ties for anything? Also make sure you don't have any headphone wire sticking out, or if you have baggy long sleeves on, make sure you take them off too. And the final thing to look out for is long hair. If you don't want to go to the extremes that I did, that's okay, but you need to tie it up if it's at all long and could get caught. Once everything dangerous is off, make sure you have your personal protection on. My students know that you need to have your safety glasses on at all times in the shop. But you can't forget about your hearing protection too. I said, you can't forget about your hearing protection too. Good. Now that you have yourself all set to go, let's set up the saw. There's really three main adjustments that you need to make a good cut: blade height, blade angle, and the fence. Every tool has slightly different adjustments, but they are all fairly intuitive once you know what you're looking for. This table saw has the bevel angle adjustment wheel used for making beveled rip cuts on the left-hand side of the saw. Turning the wheel will change the angle of the blade, and the bevel angle indicator in front will show you your angle. The wheel in front is how we adjust the blade height. Can you think why the height adjustment is in front with the bevel indicator? It's the adjustment that we use most frequently. Now that you have your blade height and angle set, the third and final key adjustment is the fence. This is what controls the dimension you're ripping your board to. Some saws have a ruler built into the saw as an indicator to set the fence to. I still feel more comfortable measuring the distance from blade to fence with a tape measure. This is the only saw I've ever worked with where the fence indicator was pretty darn accurate. When using a tape measure, make sure to check that the fence is square too by measuring back to the miter grooves in the front and the back of the blade. Set the fence where you need it and lock it down. There are other adjustments you can do with your saw, but I will not cover those in this episode. They are more advanced and should only be used once you have mastered the basic training. With the saw all set, it's time to get your workpiece ready. As with any tool, the first thing you need to do is check your board for any warps, cracks, or foreign objects. If your board is really warped, don't use it. It's not worth the risk to you, and you're not going to get a great cut. If it's warped just a little bit, there are a few things that we can do to minimize risks and get you the best cut possible. The aim for both of these is to keep two surfaces on the fence or the table so that the board stays steady. Again, if it's really warped, don't use it. The safety risks don't offset the hassle of getting another board, and it's really hard to get an accurate cut to the dimension that you're looking for. When working with any tool, you should always check your workpiece for any screws, nails, staples, or other foreign objects that could interfere. Staples in the end of the boards are the ones I see forgotten the most. Lumber mills often use staples to attach tags that identify the boards. You need to make sure those aren't there. All right. The saw and the board are set. Now it's time to turn on the saw and get to it.